everyone, this is just going to be a quick video discussing the different ways you might approach your second pre-writing. Remember that here at the top of the screen you will put the title of your first source and then the title of your second source. Then in each column exclusively, so on the left and then exclusively alone on the right, you will explore your first source just here in the left column. So if you were working with the field of econ first, that would go in the first column. And you will, of course, answer these questions that correspond with the appropriate box. And here in the second column on the right, you are going to focus exclusively on your second source or second field of study. Now remember, the goal will not be, once we get to the actual assignment, to explore each source independently. You will have to have both sources mentioned equally in each paragraph of your actual project, but it can be helpful, I find, to look at how each source operates independently first. Then what you're going to do is actually begin answering some questions that hopefully will help you move ideas into the project that are useful. So of course, at first I'm asking you, what area of study are you working with? That's another way of saying discipline or subdiscipline. I've also asked you, how do you know? When you answer how you know, you might think about the data that is used. So maybe you see data-driven answers that are more likely to be found within the field of mathematics or science, for instance. And or you consider things like the journal name and the criteria of those who did the study. Here there is a brainstorming research-based question. What do you expect the approach to the topic will be? So do you think they'll be making an argument? Will they be aiming more so just to educate the audience? Are they trying to bring awareness to a topic? Is it set up as a problem solution? So on and so forth. Remember, answer these questions for each article, one in this box and one in the other. In the structure section, I have asked you some questions that you could literally move into the assignment itself. So how is the essay structured? How is each article structured? Another way of saying that is essay. Does it have a thesis statement or a hypothesis? Look to see if you can find the key argument of each piece. Does it focus on theory and experiments? And if so, do you see it using quantitative, which is more numerical driven data, versus qualitative, which of course may rely on emotions and or logical reasoning, could be told by the way of an interview, so on and so forth. It's just a little bit different than quantitative data. I have also asked you to think about the titles of each piece, so thinking about what role does the title play, does it actually show what the goal of each piece is and in what way? Is it a polarizing title? Is it biased? I have also asked you to pause and think about the visual images. So if there are visual images, you might note those here. You don't necessarily have to draw the connections just yet unless you want to, but it will give you areas of comparison. One thing that I will note is just when you are paraphrasing and quoting on the pre-writing, do not drop quotes in. So make sure that you do something like this, right? If that was the author's name. And in that case, you would not need the name in text. Make sure as well that you include this, right? The citation. That's extremely important. In the language section, what you are going to be considering, of course, is the word choice being used. Is it concise? Is it full of jargon? You might look at, are the authors using language choices that are appropriate to a specific audience? That's really important. So do you think that they're writing to a group of scholars within their field, or are they trying to reach a broader audience? And how do you know based on the language being used? The last section, which of course are questions that you can move into the reference section, ask you what reference styles are most closely resembled in each of your sources. So, of course, you might be thinking about if one is more closely related to APA and another to MLA, you would outline that here, and you will actually cite the citation styles the same way you would anything else. So say you were citing one of their works cited entries, and you said something along the lines of Smith uses is a footnote to explain the definition of, let's see, psychopathy. So here you would actually cite where that footnote is. You have his name in the parenthetical note, so you don't have to include anything else. Make sure that you consider looking at the sample assignments in the Project 2 materials folder to help you with this part. I also wanted you to go back to your expectations at the beginning of the pre-writing and just a sentence or two and answer, were your expectations about these two sources correct? Yes or no? And how and in what way? The last thing you are going to do, of course, is come up with your thesis statement. That needs to go here at the very end of the document. Make sure it is one sentence. Make sure that you are outlining structure, language, and reference style in that order, and that you are bringing to life if those three elements are similar to one another or different. I'm always around if you've got any questions, and don't forget that the sample projects on Blackboard also give you a great example of how to do thesis statements.